What's good, party people? This is the year-end show of Voodoo in the Woods, and we thank you guys first and foremost for joining us here at Voodoo in the Woods. This has been a labor of love, not so much laborious, laborious, however you pronounce it, but it's a cool time to be talking to former UFMMA champion Pius Inololobo, better known as Voodoo Maximus, and we're talking fights with you. Just to kind of get away from the craziness of the world and get into some crazy fights. But Voodoo, how are you, good sir? Happy holidays.
What's up, my brother? How you doing? According to Woods, always in the house. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good to be talking fights with you again and again. This was before, you know, like before 2020, like we had always talked about doing something together, and this is the year that we put it into fruition. So, I couldn't be more thrilled than to be doing this with you, this very show.
Yeah, it's been quite awesome. I've enjoyed myself, and I look forward to unfolding better product. It keeps getting better and better, man. That's what I like most about it. You know what I mean? It keeps getting better and better and better, and I look forward to more.
Dang right, dang right. So we are marching into 2021 with fun shit to talk about, and not to give too much of a somber note, but we cover both MMA and pro wrestling here, so a kind of unfortunate happenstance happened last night as John Huber, formerly known as Luke Harper in the WWE and Brody Lee in AEW, unfortunately passed away at the age of 41 due to a non-COVID related lung issue. And oh man, we were kind of talking off air, but this one really ripped me up because, especially, you know, this year, so many things have been lost, right? And a centering of your family, whatever your family is, you got centered this year, hopefully, right? And for a doting dad who just like last week, the 15th, he celebrated his 41st birthday. He basically celebrated his wife, he and his wife's anniversary on, I think, the first week of December, and then he's gone. He's gone, and I'm flabbergasted. I'm heartbroken. Obviously, not as heartbroken as his wife and two young sons and everybody. To walk around in pro wrestling, and two different companies, arguably the two top companies in the world, and no one had anything bad to say about Mr. Brody Lee, and that just shows the mark that of an incredible human being, not just incredible performer that a lot of people didn't get to see. Obviously, the Wyatt family thing when he was in the WWE, there was always a feeling of like there could be a little bit more, right? Like, he was somebody that always, beyond the leader himself in Bray Wyatt, who's now a multiple-time WWE champion and what have you. He's a guy that, like, man, there's so much there, and obviously, like his WWE run left a sour taste in his mouth, so he went over to AEW and was really hitting his stride. This almost like reminds me a bit of, Eddie Guerrero and Owen Hart. Owen Hart in the sense that nobody had anything bad to say about him, and Eddie Guerrero, where there was just so like he was just now hitting his stride, and there's so much more as a character, as a performer, and as a person, and it's gone. It's totally gone.
Um, it almost leaves you speechless when these events occur. First of all, you don't see it coming. Second of all, he's so young. He's only 41. He's probably just reaching halfway of where he should have been, and now it's and the man had a family. Now what's gonna happen with his wife and children? It's unfortunate, but the Lord has called him. The Lord has called him up, and I hope he's in a better place. And I wish his family nothing but the best of luck.
Absolutely, absolutely. So our thoughts and prayers go out to the Huber family. An incredible loss. And kudos to last night it was a joy of. I mean, obviously a loss, but everybody from both sides. AEW. WWE, everybody essentially had warm and kind words to say about him, including Stephanie McMahon and Triple H, Paul Levesque. They both came out and were just like they shared. They didn't have to do that, right? And you get so into promotional rivalries, like you like WWE, I like AEW, and vice versa. You like UFC, I like Bellator, and first vice versa. Like you can just like everything. Like that's the thing about it. Like take your life by the horns and just do it. What if you like it? Shout it from the rooftop and share with others. And if it's not so nice after a year of having so much not so nice things, just we could be nicer. We could be nicer.
Yes, yes. I mean, one thing we know about the McMahons is they 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 are a tough group of not a group. They're a tough company to work for, right? They have high expectations. They will not ever ask you to do something they're not willing to do themselves. As you've seen many times, McMahon take huge slams. Stephanie has taken nice beatings in the ring, and of course Shane O'Mac. He's done it all. You know what I mean? From jumping from 50 feet up in the air to the hitting the ground, just like anybody else. So they're not going to ask you to do something that they're not willing to do themselves. And then furthermore, when they respect you, they'll come out and speak on your behalf. And Triple H, he's a legend of the sport, and he's been in there from Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley to what is he now?
The
Paul? Is he Paul
COO.
now? Is he back to being
Yeah,
Paul?
he's just Paul, executive,
Okay,
chief operating
COO.
officer of Paul Levesque. So that's that dude.
So yeah. So now when you have individuals like this at the top of the game, at the top of the business, having good things to say about you, then that means that this Brody Lee, he's lived a good life. Not only did he live a good life, he was an honorable individual, because these people aren't gonna come out and speak on your behalf if you didn't live an honorable. Because I mean, they got a company to think about. If you were a piece of crap type of human being, they're not gonna come out and say anything. They would rather be quiet and drop a video rather than come out and say something. So if they're coming out and they're saying good things about this man, that tells you the type of character that this man had and the type of human being, most important, that he was. So rest in peace to Brody Lee. And it sucks. It sucks to hear news like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, a year of death and all that. So I mean, hopefully we just if everything of anything that we could have learned this year, right, is just to value your time, right, your time here in this earth, in this existence, and just putting the best foot forward. So and speaking of best foot forward, our man in the thick of things, Shaman Steve says, "Happy New Year, family! Happy New Year, Shaman Steve! We appreciate you, just the person that you are. Talk about incredible people that no one could really say anything bad about. That's Shaman Steve. So shout out to Shaman Steve.
Yeah. Shaman Steve is always in the house, and always in the house. We gotta get that dude on.
Absolutely, and be happy. Enjoy this ride. 100%, 100%. I couldn't have put it any better
That's
myself.
right. That's right. That's right. All
So
day.
So, I mean, we let's do it. This is the year end review, and a bunch of like nutty things happened this year, right? But namely, something that, yeah, allegedly, people say things about Shaman Steve. You know what? Here's two people, right? Voodoo and Woods here, and Shaman Steve is all right with us. I'm just saying.
Yeah, all day.
Slow. Okay, so we did do a show on Thursday in kind of preparation for this, but obviously during this week we had a promotional video package put together and essentially exported to the world by none other than UFC president Dana White, and it was a basically a fuck you to everybody that said he was the drizzling shits for running shows during COVID. That's essentially it, right? And hopefully you don't get, you know, yeah. So I mean, and it's crazy. Like he literally underlined like every report, like LA Times, and then the writer that did it, and said, basically, fuck you. Like I mean, I almost it reminded me a bit of like Howard Dean, the American political person, whatever, when he was running. I can't even remember. He might have been running for president. He might not.
Yeah!
Whatever. Yeah, yeah. That's what this fucking thing was yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, yeah, that was that was
We're gonna go to
essentially
Texas. We're gonna go to New York. We're gonna go back to Washington D.C. Take back that White House.
yeah. And that's essentially it. Vinny, what was your thoughts during Dana White's COVID video?
I over the since the video dropped, I've heard many people give their commentary about this video and about Dana White, what he was doing. A lot of people ultimately felt Dana was doing that to himself, and they felt that Dana really doesn't really need to do that to himself. I mean, you're Dana White. What you congratulating yourself for? It's almost like we already expect you to do that. So why you like celebrating? Well, I mean, like dude, it's like in football, they teach the kids not to celebrate in the end zone, right? And then what is that kid in the end zone? He finally made it to the end zone, and he's doing this thing like Deion Sanders, and people are like, dude, man, you should have more class, more character, blah blah blah. Uh, the fact of the matter is, how could you it's hard to tell him not to do that. It's hard to tell him not to celebrate in the end zone because the man underwent so much scrutiny, so much this. You know what I mean? Politicians went after him. Disney went after him. Uh, uh, what that guy? Governor Newsom went after him. Dianne
Yeah,
Feinstein went after him. Right? Disney went after him. Who else went after him? ESPN Plus went after somebody. A whole bunch of powerful individuals went after him, and they tried to shut him down. The man. Okay, he made a deal with ESPN or whatever, whoever. He's supposed to deliver this many shows so he can get paid $700 million for his company. COVID hits. If he doesn't deliver these shows, nobody gives a damn if COVID hits. It's been signed already. And if he doesn't get these shows, whatever number, let's say, for example, 50 was the number of shows. If he doesn't hit 50, he doesn't get paid, right? Nobody cares about the extraneous circumstances. No one cares. ESPN doesn't care. You promised me 50 shows. I want 50 shows. Otherwise, you do not get paid, right? So he's like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? He tried Tachi Palace. Tachi Palace was cool with it. And that's when Dianne Feinstein and the governor, whoever, opposed him. And now he's got to find another out. People said that it was irresponsible for him to go to Tachi Palace and risk the jobs of these referees and all the USADA, not USADA,
California State Athletic Commission.
whoever these people are. Yeah, those people. You know, if they would have done the show, they would have violated uh, the current status quo at that time, and that could mean these people getting suspended or having like a mark on their record. You know what I mean? And okay, so that didn't work out. Now he's like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I? Oh, let me reach out to my Arab brothers. He reached out to his Arab brothers in Abu Dhabi. His Arab brothers, they got the cash. They got the cash and understand that they're part owners in the company and they want that revenue. So they're like, hey, why don't you come over to Abu Dhabi? We'll build you. We got a nice piece of land. You can build whatever you want on it. And then we can secure, boom. Hence Fight Island. One of the, if not the single greatest act in MMA. Fight Island, I believe, is the single greatest act in MMA. Single greatest move in MMA. And Dana White, he put the money down, or whoever, he facilitated it. The money was put down, the facility was built, Fight Island was built, all the necessary preventions, COVID preventions were in place, put in place. And I mean, 8, 9 months later, we're at the end of the year. The man pulled it off. Not only was he the first sports to Dana White, not only did Dana White bring back the first sport during this season, he gave the blueprint for the NFL, NBA, and all these other sports institutions that came after. Everyone said, "No, man, Bob Arum. Oh, you're so selfish. You're this and you're that. You're this and you're that." Everybody pointed a finger. I remember everyone pointed, but the man figured out a way and he pulled it off. Now, but he doesn't pay his fighters. That's not what we're talking about right now. What we're talking about right now is, did the show continue? Did the show continue? Yes, the show continued. And not only did the show continue, the UFC set the blueprint for everyone else. Now, if
No,
Dana
100%.
White wants to do this, can't stop him. He's earned the right to do that.
Yeah, and Shaman Steve says he pulled something out of nothing. Bravo, Dana White. And here's the thing, right? This is where, again, the comparisons, right, in terms of MMA and pro wrestling, they are here again, right, to be compared, right, because you can go Dana White, Vince McMahon, and there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of parallels, right, and literally WWE, the fact that they had a performance center in Florida, right? They were running shows out of, and then later went to like the Amway Center in Orlando to do the whole kind of virtual audience Thunderdome. I think that's what they call. Yeah, WWE Thunderdome, right? But he never missed a week of TV at all during this COVID situation, right? And even the people that work for him, the wrestlers, they kind of they had odds with it, and some stayed off the road until they absolutely were kind of pushed by contractual obligations. So there's that, right? But one thing that Dana can hold over Vince McMahon, because I know that, I mean, Vince has been very kind in terms of his admiration and respect for Dana White, even though he doesn't know the product. And as too with Dana White, has been very, very complimentary to one Vince McMahon in terms of the way that he runs his businesses and everything like that. So with that all being said, Dana actually has one nuance over Vince McMahon in the sense that UFC, right? This is fact. The UFC headquarters and operations, right? If you were an employee of the UFC during 2020, you didn't lose your job at all. Versus, I mean, literally, when the first shutdown happened, I think there's like 40 some odd WWE contracted talents, on air talent that got let go, along with a bunch of, I think it ended up being closer to 100 layoffs or furloughs, in the WWE, and Dana didn't have to do. But on the other hand, Dana White, literally a week before this video was disseminated to us, he essentially said, "Hey, we're gonna have like a bloodbath in terms of layoffs, in terms of fire layoffs." So, I mean, I don't know, but again, Dana did it. Dana did it because the machine that is the UFC continued to roll on, and it laid the groundwork for Bellator to do fights, for LFA to do fights, for again NFL, like every sports organization, this side of North America, to essentially follow the blueprint of the UFC. So, yes, the ViStar Arena at first, then the Apex Center for a couple shows, and to Fight Island in Abu Dhabi, then back to Apex and whatever. We may still get a Tachi Palace show come 2021, because that's what he said he wanted to do. So, he's not wrong. He's not wrong in the sense that every possible uh, every every possible consideration that could be given was given, and he was allowed. Not to say he was allowed, but he basically, if you're talking about like, hey, this is the mission, and if you choose to accept it, well, mission accomplished for if you're Dana White.
Most def. I agree with you 100%. And then when you look at history and you follow history, all those great men that had a vision, people have always told them the same thing: you're crazy, you're crazy, you're selfish, you're this and you're that. You should not do that. That is not normal. This is if you're going to do something that's never been done before, of course it's gonna seem crazy. Of course, it makes sense because this is something new, right? Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's got this saying that he always said. People say it's never been done before. It's never been done before. But then he goes, look, okay, since it's never been done before, if I go ahead and I go do it, that makes me the greatest to ever do it, right? So when we're talking about promotion in MMA history, after this move that Dana just made, the man is the greatest promoter in MMA history. First of all, Scott Coker was close before. It was close before. And then when that COVID hit, Scott Coker is still great. I'm not dissing Scott Coker. Please understand. I am not dissing Scott Coker. But it's like when you bet on that, like the horse race, that horse that no one thought was gonna make it, right? It's 100-1, right? But then Dana White put down $1 billion down on that horse, and that horse hit 100, right? So that's what, 100 times 1 billion, right? Isn't that how the whatever?
Yeah,
I don't know how it goes, but you catch my drift, right? He
I
doubled down, and then boom, he got mad reward from his gamble. You know what I mean? The man gambled, and lucky for him, it was successful. Now, because of that gamble, and because he had the guts to stand there and gamble, despite everyone, what he was doing was irresponsible. He did it anyway, and look at him now. He's on
yeah,
vacation right now on some island, sipping mai tais, doing his thing.
exactly. And that's what Shaman Steve says exactly, and the cream rises to the top. No, and that's the thing, right? So
That's right, Shaman.
you could call them, and for good reason, you could call Dana White and Vince McMahon megalomaniacs, and it's absolutely true. But here's the thing, right? After the WME IMG merger, or purchase of the UFC and Zuffa, he could have walked off into the sunset, much like the Fertitta brothers did, right? But it reminded me of when I guess it was Ted Turner that brought WCW, right? And he was just like, "Yeah, I'm buying WCW, but Ric Flair has
Yes.
to be here," right? This was essentially it, where WME IMG, the biggest talent agency in Hollywood, say they want to buy UFC and all of its properties. Well, but we want Dana to stay on board, right? So this is somebody that was nearing probably, definitely $500 million in terms of net worth
Yes.
before this, right? And I mean, when it's all said and done, Dana White will be a billionaire.
Hmm. Hmm.
Absolutely, there's no doubt in my mind, right? And he doesn't necessarily have to do this, right? He continues to want to innovate.
Yeah.
Kudos to him for that. Same with Vince McMahon. He's at TV every week since like 1980 some odd, right? Aside from like pulling his quad, running to the ring or whatever. And I mean, I don't think there's been too many times that he's missed a TV taping in like 40 some odd years. So with that all being said, these gentlemen
Yes.
don't have to do what they do, but they do it. Um, Part insanity, part whatever you attribute it to, they're doing it, and the proof is in the pudding in terms of where they are.
Yeah, yeah. Some people are addicted to crack. Some people are addicted to alcohol. Some people are addicted to marijuana. Some people are addicted to candy. Some people are addicted to coffee. Vince McMahon,
Fair
Dana
enough.
White, these people are addicted to the journey. You know what I mean? It's not making money that drives them. It is seeing the impossible trail and taking that trail anyway and creating a path for anyone everyone else that's gonna follow. This is where they get off. It just so happens that the byproduct of that is millions and millions and billions of dollars. So when you say at the end of this, when Dana White is done, he'll be a billionaire. That's very, very, very true statement because right now he's almost halfway there. He's in the 400s already. You know what I mean? So
I would say more than that.
the man is yeah, right. The man is he's a special individual in this realm that he's in. He's special. He might not be worth jack when it comes to math and science, but when it comes to putting MMA product on the market, he is the very best, and that's that.
Yep, addicted to the challenge. Sean and Steve says no, 100%. And just a little bit of a factoid, right? Dana White
Yes,
was literally in Boston teaching, like, essentially, I mean, boxing. Like, he was a personal trainer, right? He was a personal trainer that, in fact, got driven out of Boston because of Whitey Bulger, the infamous mob boss in the East Coast, right? And he grew up in Vegas and everything, went back to Vegas, but essentially what ended up happening was he ended up becoming a manager for Chuck Liddell, right? Manager for Chuck Liddell,
yes,
and they were going through contractual
Tito.
obligations with the UFC, and they couldn't
Mhm.
pay what Chuck was asking for, right? And he basically was like, "Oh man, they don't have the money." And he went to his friends, the Fertitta brothers, and said, "Hey, you guys, we should buy this thing." And this, I mean, what was it? $5 million into $3.4 billion in
Yep,
terms of intellectual property.
yep,
That is insane, and it's Dana got
mhm,
a part of that, a small portion, but still, I'd love a 5% portion of 3.4 billion dollars. Give me 5%. Give me 1% of that. I mean, it might work. Might work. I'm just saying. So, shout out to Dana White for that. Because if not, I mean, we wouldn't have a sport to talk about.
yeah. Well, even if we did have it, I don't think it'll be this evolved. Most definitely won't be this evolved. So, shout out to Dana White, like you said. Most definitely.
Absolutely. Now, Shaman Steve, we're gonna jump around a little bit, but Shaman Steve wants to know what fights. Let me pull that up. He said, "What fights are we looking forward to in the next year in the fight game? So I think that alludes to something that I was kind of working up in the sense that we have what is the dream matchups for 2021?
Hmm. Well, you wanna go by division or you wanna go by gender?
Yeah, so I mean, if we went divisional, right? We're starting off with flyweight. Cody
Hmm.
Garbrandt, former UFC
Okay.
bantamweight champion, has yet to make his UFC flyweight debut. That was supposed to happen. It didn't
Hmm.
happen. So that's it. I want to see Garbrandt versus Figueredo. That for sure, right? Then we've got the
Okay.
bantamweight, right? We've got I mean, for me,
Hmm.
it's all interpromotional. Like what that's the thing. I like the idea of a world champion and a world champion because here's the two ways
Yeah.
that I basically define a world champion. And if your title is, basically earn the right to call itself a world champion, it's one of two things. Either competitors from around the world, this is definition one, competitors from around the world come to your organization to vie for your championship, to contend for your championship. That is one definition of a world championship, right? And then two, to be able to defend said title, right, in different parts of the world, right? Thus making it again a world championship. To me, those are the only two reasons why you can call it a world title, right? So if you're, a promotion that runs just out of Arizona or California, you don't, in my book, your world title is just a promotional title. Like this promotion essentially designates this person to be recognized by this promotion as its champion for this division. That's the way that maybe I'm a purist, maybe I'm insane, but that's it, right? So you get a world champion those two ways, right? And Bellator and the UFC have both done that, right? They've both done that. I mean, agree or disagree?
Agree. Agree. Well, see, the UFC being the biggest promotion, MMA promotion in the world, has had bad experience due to this idea that you have. Back in the '90s, Dana White was a big push of Chuck Liddell, like you said, and back then, Pride, the Japanese promotion, was the number one MMA promotion there is, followed by the UFC. Kind of like the UFC and Bellator right now. Back then, it was Pride and then the UFC. So the UFC sent Chuck Liddell to Pride, you know, on a handshake, gentleman's handshake. We'll bring Chuck over there so he can, do his thing with you guys, and then in return, you give us Valley Silva so he can come do his thing in America with us. So he shook hands with the Japanese. The Japanese is like, yeah, 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 brother, yeah, yeah, sure, buddy. And Chuck went to the tournament. I believe he ended up losing to, I believe, Alistair Overeem. I can't remember. I believe he lost to Alistair Overeem when Alistair used to be a 205er.
Yeah,
Back then, they
205.
called him Demolition Man. So when it was time for, yeah, when it was time for the Japanese to lend their superstar to the UFC, they were like, no. And from then on, Dana White, he had a bad taste in his mouth, and he said, I would never, ever, ever do that again. And I understand because it's bad for business, right? Let's say, for example, Diego Lima comes from Bellator, and he goes to the UFC, and then he goes over there and he mops up Kamaru Usman at 170, mops him up. Now the question is out there. Perhaps the UFC doesn't have the best fighters. Perhaps Bellator has the best fighters. Now this will help Bellator's stock rise. The UFC is not going to do that. They're not going to help the competition rise. You know what I mean? If they have money invested in the competition, then that makes sense. It doesn't matter anyway because they're win-win. But in this case, they don't have any money invested in Bellator, so they would not do co-promotion. And then because of that, we would never ever get an opportunity to see who is truly the best in the world.
I agree. I agree. But there's glimmerings of hope, right? And I would look no further than obviously, and I talk a lot of crap about Tyron Woodley, but Tyron Woodley, right? Strikeforce champion. He went to the UFC, became UFC champion. So that to me validates Strikeforce as a whole. Daniel Cormier, same deal. Ronda Rousey, same deal. Those were originally Strikeforce fighters, right? And in the instance of one Eddie Alvarez, right,
Yes.
the Underground King, he was a long time. I mean, him and Michael Chandler essentially put Bellator on the map, right? I mean, Bellator was just a run of the mill promotion on syndicated TV, if not for Michael Chandler, Eddie Alvarez, and literally the trilogy of fights that they had between them in Bellator. To
The
me,
war.
that made every Bellator championship worth something, right? Because those two went out. I mean, that was essentially in those three fights encompassing. It's what essentially Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner on the very first Ultimate Fighter, finale. That's what that did, right? So, with that all being said, Bellator, that's a world title. That is it's a world title. And again, Eddie Alvarez coming over and doing the exact same thing and earning a UFC title. And even in a kind of advanced age. He was young, but in MMA years, right? So I
Hmm.
just think that Eddie Alvarez. I mean, that was almost what you saw out of it. But obviously, there are times where it isn't so great, right? Obviously, the God, what's his name? Jake Shields. Jake Shields coming over, right? Jake Shields coming over didn't work out so well. Same thing with Gilbert Melendez. Didn't work out so well, right?
I mean,
And obviously, the biggest name is Ben Askren.
yeah,
That did
yeah,
not work out at all. 0-3 in your UFC outings, or 0-2, or something like that. No, wait, 1-2, because he did get like this weird kind of decision win. So yeah, so 1-2
yes.
is
Over Robbie Lawler, bulldog choke.
yeah. Yes, absolutely. So that was that. But anytime you see those happening and a what is viewed by the MMA consensus, right? The that is like the lesser of the two titles, and somebody that has once held that lesser title and gone on to UFC Gold, then that's it, right? Obviously, let's say
Hmm.
Brandon Royval, right? Brandon Royval is a former LFA champion, right? Flyweight champion. Same thing with Jimmy Flick, right? Jimmy Flick essentially won the vacant
Hmm.
LFA flyweight title when Royval went to the UFC, right? So if either either man
Hmm.
essentially wins a UFC title, then guess what? The LFA title is automatically elevated, at least in my eyes, to that. So, with that all being said, I want to see
Yes,
the champions,
yes,
and UFC did do that for one season of the Ultimate Fighter, where they got all of the best champions in a particular division around the world, and was like, okay, this is it, and then the winner becomes. I think that was the flyweight deal.
hmm,
Becomes the first
hmm, hmm,
UFC flyweight champion. Kind of similar what they did to Carlos Esparza in the strawweight division. So
yes,
that's it. So my dream matchups is like literally take everybody from every division, every champion from every organization, and that's it. Let it hash it out. Although it won't happen, but those are my dream matches.
yes. Let me see. I want to start with the women's division, the strawweight, right? The lightest division in the women's strawweight, right?
Yes, we have strawweight in the UFC
Okay,
because
so we're
Adam Wade is
talking
in. Yeah, Adam Wade is only in
right
one and Invicta.
Invicta. Okay, so when we're looking at, I want to see. I want to see the return of Joanna Jędrzejczyk, of course, battle anybody in the top five. Maybe after two matches, back to the title. But Yon Wei Lee, I want to see her versus Rose. If she beats
Mhm.
Rose, I want to see her test herself against Bullet Valentina, all in 2021. This is what I want to see for the strawweight. Let me see. In regards to Bullet Valentina, I don't see anyone that's capable. Actually, there's one person. There's one person. What's her name? Uh, what's the girl that slammed Rose on her head? What's her name?
Wait, we're the one that slammed Rose on her head. Let me
Yeah,
look through
and
the
knocked her out for
rank.
the title.
Oh,
The
Andrade,
Brazilian girl.
Jessica Andrade.
Yes, yes, yes. So yeah, yeah. Jesse Andrade versus Valentina. That's a good fight. I like that. But then after she beats Andrade, I don't see anyone else. So Zhang Wei Li should be next, right? I would like to see. I would like to see. So both of them. Oh, so Zhang Wei Li versus Rose. Uh, Bullet Valentina versus Andrade. Winners fight each other in the super fight. That's what I want to see. Now, when we move up to the 145-pound division, which is the champ, the 35 and 45, the champ.
Oh,
I don't
we
see
have we
anybody
have
that's going to
flyweight.
challenge her, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, we've got flyweight. So flyweight
Who's in the
in the
flyweight?
UFC, Valentina,
Who's the flyweight champion?
Valentina Shevchenko.
Oh yeah. So Valentina, yeah, Valentina versus what's her name? The Brazilian we just talked about.
Andrade.
And Josh. So that right there, yeah, that right there will take care of the flyweight. Now, when we move up to 35 and the 45, it doesn't really matter, man, because she's gonna starch anyone that comes across. But the only fight that I would like to see is is a rematch with Chris Cyborg. I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think Cyborg wants that. I don't think she wants it. The hand speed is too much. The hand speed is too much. So I don't think she wants that rematch. She might say she won it, but she might say she won it and then call for a cross promotion. I love Cyborg, but I don't think she wants that. She'll want that. She'll want that beef. So 35-45, Amanda Nunes. I say Amanda Nunes just sit there like this and wait for the next person to come up. You know what I mean? And then
So
when we move to the males, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. What's your question?
so I've got an interesting one, right? So I don't know what the
Okay.
contractual obligations of it, but I mean, Elimele McFarland, longtime Bellator flyweight champion, she lost the championship to Juliana Vasquez, right, at the last in her last defense, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
hopefully she might have one, maybe two fights on her contract. I would like to see Elimele versus Valentina for the UFC flyweight championship. I think that would be amazing.
Hmm. After what Vasquez just did to her, Vasquez don't got a chance against Valentina. Not to talk about Ilumile. I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing the name. She has no
Elimele,
prayer, none. No, she has no prayer against Valentina Shevchenko. No prayer. Vasquez, I saw her the way she fought. She has no prayer against Valentina because she's flat-footed. She just stands there. She's strong, right? She's very strong, very good jiu-jitsu, very good wrestling, very good power striking, but she lacks footwork. And because she lacks footwork, Valentina will walk right all over, tap dance all over her face, and beat the hell out of her. That's what's gonna happen. And I just don't see Elimile being competitive at all. She'll get hurt. See, Elimile is very smart, very experienced, excellent fighter, but she lacks power, and this is why she lost a title to Vasquez. You know what I mean? She gets hit, she gets broken. You know what I mean? When these powerful girls hit her, she leaks, and she. It's not her fault. It's not her fault. These girls are just stronger than her. You know what I mean? This is what we have when we have weight cuts, right? These big powerful people come down to a smaller weight class and then they dominate. It is what it is. So if 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 this was like one, she might have a better chance competing against those girls at one because they will be around the same weight. You know what I mean? That the strength advantage might not be that much. It might be there, but not that much. But under the current circumstance, especially Bullet Valentina, she'll get killed. She won't make it out of the second. She'll get hurt real bad against Bullet Valentina.
There you go. I mean, that's it. Oh, I mean, we were talking about straw weights, right? So one thing that I would love to see in
Yeah.
2021 is the second ever LFA flyweight, I mean, strawweight champion, Lupita Godinez. Lupe Godinez needs to be
Yes.
signed to the UFC.
Yes.
That needs to happen. I mean,
Okay.
the LFA has had a almost 100% run of sending their champions to the UFC via either the Dana White
Hmm.
Contender Series or straight up to the UFC itself. Right. So with that all being said, the only one
Okay.
that I can think of off the top of my head that was a champion in the LFA, because the first ever LFA strawweight champion in one Little Monster, Vanessa Demopoulos, she got a chance on the Dana White Contender Series, right?
Hmm.
That didn't go her way, and then she went back
Hmm.
down to the
Hmm.
LFA to defend her title against Lupe, right? So with that all being said, Lupe
Hmm.
is the only one that hasn't that has been a champion in 2020 in the LFA that hasn't gotten a chance in the UFC. So I would want to make
Hmm.
that rectified in 2021.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's say Lupita comes over to the UFC. Who do you see her going up against first?
Oh geez, after that like walk out slam that she did, I mean it was a crazy thing that she did, but literally she couldn't hear her corners, and she was in Little Monster's corner, and literally picked Little Monster up and just walked over to the with her on her shoulder. Lupe went across the LFA octagon and slams, Little Monster just so she could hear her corners. So with the wrestling pedigree like that, with the
Hmm.
strength of that, man, let's go Overkill Hill. Let's go Lavinia Hanata Souza. Let's
Yes.
go. I'd like to see Amanda Hibas. That's or Kanako Murata, who's the former Invicta strawweight champion, right? The last one on record. That would be something, right? I would see
Tisha
her.
Torres.
Tisha Torres, yeah. I mean Tisha Torres, and that's a top 8, ranked fighter in a worldwide ranking. It's
Yes.
not just, and probably even higher in terms of overall UFC rankings, right? So with that all being said, I mean she matches up pretty well, right? Because I mean you've got Randa Marcos is still in there. That might be a good tune-up fight. You got uh, Karolina Kovacevic,
Hmm.
right? That's another tune-up fight, right? Sohee
Yes.
Ham is
Hmm.
in Ryzen, so not that. But
Hmm.
Verna Jandiroba, that's an interesting matchup as well, right? So she
Hmm.
she
Hmm.
places in the top
Hmm.
20
Hmm.
in terms of world rankings, and in terms of the UFC rankings overall. That might even be higher. So
Hmm.
that's that, but I would say Kovacevic would be a fun one, and just as like getting her feet wet.
Yes, yes, yes. Because of the skill set that she brings to the table, she's gonna find favorable competition. I mean, she will be thrown to the sharks immediately because she's that good. You know what I mean? She mixes hands and feet really, really well. Her boxing is beautiful. Her footwork is beautiful. Her takedown defense is beautiful. She's just a complete fighter. Now
Yeah,
she's still young in the game because she's coming from LFA. That means she's young in the game, and now she's gonna be going in there with these top ladies, man. She has a skill set. She can only get better from here. I don't know how old
mhm.
she is, but if she's still in her mid to low 20s, she's got a lot of time to evolve and rise to the occasion. So I look forward to seeing Lupita in the UFC.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very fun kind of thing to play out in your head. But you were going about your
Okay.
rankings and whatever, so let's go ahead and get to that.
Yeah.
Or dream
Yeah.
fights, I
So
would
we
say.
just ran through the women, right?
Right. So
Yeah,
the
we got
top
to Amanda Nunes, and Cyborg was my
the
only choice for Amanda Nunes. She's so dominant. She's so dominant. She smashes everyone. So she could just sit on the throne like Conan, the Destroyer, the Barbarian, and just wait for the next challenger. So there you go. In regards, and then let's go back to the men now. Let's go starting from the flyweight. Figueredo. Who would we like to see Figueredo? You mentioned Cody Garbrandt. I would like to see
yeah,
that. I would like to see Cody Garbrandt. I would like to see Figueredo go up. I would like to see Figueredo if when Cody Garbrandt gets beat by Figueredo. I would like to see Figueredo go up. Yes, because he's big. He's a big dude. He'll be able to match well in that weight class. I would like to see him go up. I would like to see him against T.J. Dillashaw.
yeah.
That's a fight I would like to see. I would like to see
I
him
mean,
against
that
TJ
could happen.
Dillashaw. Yeah, of course it could happen. And I would like to see him against TJ Dillashaw. I would like to see him against Jose Aldo, Brazil versus Brazil. That's marketable. I would like to see Dillashaw versus Moreno. That's another very good fight. Dillashaw is a missing ingredient right now. He's the missing ingredient to spice things up because of his skill set. You know what I mean? He's got excellent footwork, excellent hands, excellent feet. The combination of all these things are excellent. Of course, you already know he's a great wrestler. He will submit you if he has to, but he prefers to knock your block off, which I love very much. Um, he in a 135-pound division, he is the one that I'm looking for. TJ Dillashaw. He's the only thing that I'm interested in. I mean, no, I take that back. I take that back. Not the only thing. I don't want to offend anyone. You know what I mean? I like to see Brandon Royval come back from his surgery, his shoulder surgery, come back and really light fools up because the kid's got potential, and he's not even he hasn't even filled out into his man body yet. He's still got his kid body. You know what I mean? He's not muscular. All what you see right now from Brandon Royal is pure skill and talent. His body hasn't even manned up yet, so we're still to see that. So he's still up in the zone. That young boy from LFA. He beat Royval. He's
From
like a
LFA.
wrestler. I can't remember his name. He's a very good wrestler. Yeah, he came from LFA, but he's had like three fights in the UFC. Unstoppable.
Jimmy Flick.
I can't remember his name. No, not Jimmy Flick. He came over before Jimmy Flick. He had a very very good fight against that Chinese fella and beat the hell out of that Chinese fella.
And he's a flyweight or bantamweight.
I believe he's flyweight. Is he flyweight?
Okay, I'm looking
He's in
at
the same
fly.
division as Royval.
Okay, so in terms of flyweights, we're looking at obviously not Demetrius Johnson, Joseph
No.
Formiga, Kaikara France.
Mm-mm.
So the top 15 of in all of flyweights would
Mm-hmm.
be would be Tim Elliott, Magomed Biblu Bagatov. I fucked that up. Wilson Hayes, Raulon Paiva, Kaikara France, Rogerio
No.
Bontorin,
Nope.
Alexandre Pantoja.
Not that
Obviously,
guy.
that's not it.
Nope.
Royval,
That's not him.
Askarov,
Mm.
Juicer Formiga, Alex Perez,
No.
Joseph Benavidez, Moreno,
No.
Federedo, and Mighty Mouse. So that's the top
Mm.
15. So
I guess
was he
he's
LFA
below the
champ?
top 15 right now. Then I
Was he?
believe he was. I believe he was. He was. He was very good. He's still very good and evolving.
Let's see. Dun, dun,
Damn,
dun.
who did he fight?
Like I want to see. So it'll probably be in the alumni section. So in terms of flyweight, we had Ryan Benoit, Jimmy Flick, Jeff Molina, Brandon Moreno, Dustin Ortiz, Alexandre Pantoja, Sergio Perez, Jerome Rivera, Brandon Royval, Matt Schnell, and then Eric Shelton. Those are all of the LFA flyweights that have gone to the UFC.
No. Okay, he must not be a flyweight then. He must not be a flyweight. I take that. I apologize.
All right, and then the
Then he's not a flyweight, but I look forward to seeing this kid.
Okay,
What comes after flyweight?
Bantamweight, we've got Thomas Almeida, Henry Barones, Vince Guerrero, Chris Gutierrez, Nolan Hernandez, Miles John. Oh, Casey Kenny. In it? Is that the
him.
one?
That's him.
Casey Kenny. Yeah.
That's the guy.
Casey. Yeah, he is a former LFA champion. Yes, he is. Mm-hmm. Not flyweight, but bantamweight. Yeah. You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
He's a sleeper. That guy's a sleeper. I'm looking forward to seeing him go up against the top 5. Anyone in the top 5. That's what I want.
Yeah, I mean, he matches up almost perfectly with Petr Yan, the current UFC bantamweight champion. Yes. I see that fight happening like in 2021. Yes. That
me too.
I mean, assuming both
me too.
Both men win their next respective fights. Obviously, Petr Yan. I mean, he's got just in terms of what Petr Yan has, just in the neighborhood of the top 5. Right? We've got obviously we've got Aljamain Sterling, and that hasn't happened yet. Corey Sandhagen, that hasn't happened yet. Frankie Edgar and Pedro Munoz, right? So that's just the top 5. We go, and then we go down top 10. You know, we've got Cody Garbrandt, Rob Font, Marlon Moraes, Jose Aldo, Jimmy Rivera. That's the top 10. Like, so there's a lot of stuff that obviously. What happened? Yeah, Dominic is.
Well, I was gonna throw him in there. Throw him in.
Yeah, he's number 11. You know, so that is it. You know, like so. Yeah, you could do that. Davashvili. You got Cheeto Vera, right? So any of those work, but definitely in the top 5. I know Aljo and Sandhagen, they want their title shots, as does Frankie Edgar. But you could essentially do Casey Kenny versus Pedro Munoz, and that will put him in the top 5, theoretically speaking.
Yes. I see. Casey Kenny, he's such a special individual, full of potential, unpolished diamond. You know what I mean? Diamond in the rough. You got to throw him in there against Frankie Edgar, a noticeable name. You know what I mean? Pedro Munoz, though he's a very good fighter and very deserving of his position, he is not a recognizable name. Like, even right now, I'm saying Pedro Munoz, and I cannot see his face. They got to put him in there against someone you can see his face when you hear the name. You know what I'm saying? You can see the face of his opponent, and he beats that guy. Boom. He gets what he needs. This is a guy that's a keeper in the division. He's not even all the way skilled yet. He's still moving on. He's still operating on raw talent. And I mean, of course, he's growing every day, but he hasn't even reached his peak yet, right? That guy you can invest in. You got to throw him in there against a recognizable face that he can beat. Frankie Edgar, he can beat. What's Frankie Edgar been bringing to the table, right? A good wrestling and what? A lot of linear striking. A lot of decision and linear striking. A guy like that, he can. Yeah, Casey Kenny can beat a guy like that. Put him in there against Frankie Edgar. You know what I'm saying? That'll put him in the top 5, and then start, seeing what's going on with this guy. So that's the bantamweight. Petr Yan, I would like to see him hold on to the title, even against Aljamain Sterling. I think Petr is the better striker of the two. When I look at that division, I expect a certain type of action Pietre Yan is that type of individual to give me that. Jermaine Sterling is good, don't get me wrong, but too many wrestling and going to the ground type stuff. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. Don't get me wrong, I love wrestling. You know what I mean? I love wrestling and I love uh jujitsu, but I am talking as a fan and I'm telling you what I want to see, right? I'm telling you who I prefer to see due to the way they fight. You know what I mean? Pietre Yan is the one that I want to see right now because he doesn't pull guard and he doesn't shoot for down. He stands and bangs, and I like that. So I want Pietre Yan in there, and then we move up to the featherweight division.
Yeah.
Are the featherweight champ
So
right now?
Volkanovski, which there's not much I can say. I mean, he
See
is
the
22
problem
and
there?
1.
You see the problem
Yeah,
there?
he's
You see the
boring.
problem there? We don't even know who the champ is. We can't even
No, I
remember
mean,
who the
I
champion is
knew,
in
I
this
knew
in this
exactly
weight
who the
class.
champ is. Do I give a shit? Not even. Not even. Again, if you want a lullaby to lull you to sleep, check out one Alexander Volkanovski on Joe Rogan. I am an avid fan of Joe Rogan. I will watch him and fucking, Alex Jones and fucking whatever. Now, not that I agree with any of them, but Alex Jones and Eddie Bravo fucking just choke each other to sleep and get drunk and talk about aliens, right? The one that I like the absolute least out of all of Rogan's shit is Volkanovski. He is he's not even fucking Vegemite on toast. He's just toast. He's just I I don't get Volkanovski. Volkanovski is not a star. He's a fighter. He's not a star, right? And where that is a problem is if you feature a featherweight, right, a featherweight pay per view, right, where you're gonna have people pay $80 and you've got somebody dry as grass, like when your fucking dog pees on the grass and it's dry, and you fucking light a match and that shit goes into fucking 4 alarm fires. That is Alexander Volkanovski. He's pissed on grass. That's that's it. And again, he's probably an incredible
Yeah.
person. He is. It's just in terms of enigmatic person and dynamic personality, it skipped him. Athletic ability, yes, he's a former rugby star, right? But again, with rugby, he wasn't in a position where he was doing a lot of, he didn't play a position where he was the game winner. He didn't play a position. I mean, it was to the effect of a defensive tackle, right, in American football, right? So you don't see too many defensive tackles, essentially, jump on the mic and everything like that. That's just, I mean, that's the fact of the matter, right? So you could have made millions playing rugby, right? He's probably making the high six figures in terms of his UFC prowess. He's probably in career earnings 22 and 1 has earned about $1 million, right? But he's not getting $1 million to fight. And if he is, then Dana White, before you start going around and bloodbathing 200 fighter, whatever. I mean, look at your champ. Like, do you really need him? Like, Alexander Volkanovski makes Curtis Blades look like The Rock in terms of charisma. Curtis Blades is not The Rock, not by a long shot, right?
Hey,
So, that's
hey, bottom
Volkanovski.
line,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, bottom line, Volkanovski, like you said, is a good fighter. He's just not the brand fighter. You know what I mean? He's not the brand fighter. He's not the guy that sits on top of the featherweight division and is recognizable, like Max Holloway was, like Conor McGregor was, like the King of Rio was. You know what I'm saying? There's been very few
yeah,
champions
like
in this division.
Aldo, yeah.
We've had King of Rio, yeah. We've had Aldo. We've had Connor. We've had uh what's his name? The Hawaii fella. I just said his
Holloway.
name. Max Holloway. Yeah, Max Holloway, and now we have Volkanovski. So I want to see Calvin Qatar and Max Holloway. I want to see the results of that fight. That's going to be a very interesting match. This would tell me where Holloway is going from here. If he does not come into this fight with a new kicking pedigree, then he won't become champion ever again. I truly believe that. If he does
No,
not add
absolutely.
kick to his game, Max Holloway will not be champion of the UFC ever again. I don't think so. It won't happen. I mean, he needs to become a complete striker. He's a great striker. Now he needs to be a perfect striker, and he needs to add his kicking game to it to become a perfect striker. It is what it is. I would like to see Calvin Qatar. I would like to see. Damn, there's too many individuals. Okay, do you have the list of the top 10
Yes.
in the featherweight
Okay.
division
So
over there, please?
top 10, and I'm giving you. Wait. Let me just say this. Right. What I will say is I'm going to give you three names that will definitely fucking give
Okay,
Volkanovski problems. Right. And two of which are not even in the
okay,
fucking UFC. Again, with my whole point of, a champion of what most people think of a lesser organization and coming over to the UFC and running havoc, I'm going to give you three names. And any of these three names, I think
okay.
Alexander Volkanovski fucking falls prey to them. And the first one is in the UFC currently. He's ranked number 3 in terms of the division, right? We're talking about Brian T. City Ortega. Do you think that fucking Volkanovski could fucking handle Ortega's jiu-jitsu?
Yes.
That shit ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen at all, right? So that's just that,
No.
right? Then again, we're gonna float over to Bellator, right? Because in Bellator, talk about somebody who fucking, I mean, trounces of Volkanovski in every category that there is: ability, charisma, everything, submission, punching, everything. That is the 17-0 AJ McKee, the uncrowned king of the featherweight division. That is it. So that's two. You put AJ McKee and Volkanovski, like they did in the fucking Deadliest Warrior, 1,000 times. AJ McKee wins 1,000 times out of 1,000. Those are facts, right? And we're not even talking about a literal fucking pit bull, the current reigning and defended Bellator featherweight champion in Patricio Pitbull. You put Pitbull in there with Volkanovski. Volkanovski is going to be
Mm-hmm.
staring at the lights. You might as well put a fucking Golden Palace tattoo on his fucking chest because you might get some sponsorship money behind that shit. But that's what it's going to happen. So again, this is a division. The current state of, as we stand here, December 27th, going into 2020, going into 2021, this is a particular division where the UFC doesn't have the best fighters of the division. They're good, but you
Yes,
put
I
Bellator's
agree.
champion against the UFC's champion, and he falls every time. Again, not even they haven't even named AJ McKee as they're doing a very slow burn in terms of the ascension of AJ McKee. He hasn't even been called on paper the number one contender. But again, how the fuck is AJ McKee not the fucking number one contender to Patricio Pitbull's fucking featherweight title? But again, you
Mm-hmm.
have two of the top stars in the division. One's gonna fall. I could see marketing wise why they don't want to do that, right? They're two of their biggest homegrown stars, especially in that division. You don't want to do that. I get it. I get it marketing wise. I get it the business, whatever. But again, you drop Volkanovski. I'd rather see Patricio Pitbull and AJ McKee fight each other, right? Than that Volkanovski getting put on opposite ends of either one of those men. That's
Yes,
fact.
I agree.
Fucking
Yeah,
Patricio
yeah.
Pitbull fucking doesn't even speak English and can cut a better program and cut a better promo than Volkanovski. What the fuck are we doing here, sir? His subtitles are more enigmatic than Alexander Volkanovski talking on a UFC embedded. What the fuck? What are we doing? You tell me. I swear to God, if Volkanovski headlines at headlines of pay-per-view in 2021. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. I don't.
There's no
Oh
way
wait, beat
on
him
this
twice.
planet that.
He beat him twice. Got saved by the
Yeah,
judges. That motherfucker was
yeah,
that motherfucker was Zach
yeah.
Morris. His ass was saved by the bell. Come on.
There's no way he will ever headline anything, being the A side. He is no A side of nothing. Those two matches that you spoke of, Max Holloway was the A side. It is what it is. The champ is no one is tuning in to see Volkanovski. No one is tuning in to see. It's unfortunate, but no one is tuning in to see that guy. There's many other people that I like to see. You know, in that weight class. We've
Zombie,
yet to see
Zaire Rodriguez, Korean
Yair
Zombie.
Rodriguez. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
There's just too
Korean
many.
Zombie's coming off a
Too many.
fucking loss, and I'd rather see that. Calvin
Uh,
Cater, Dan EA is
there you
just
go.
as
There
enigmatic
you go.
as Volkanovski. But even still, I'd see that. Again, Edson Barbosa. That's I mean, shit. Fuck, you take Josh Emmett. I love Josh Emmett.
Yeah.
I just love Josh Emmett. So you put him. You put him in there with Volkanovski. He fucking handles Volkanovski. Fucking bring Cub Swanson from the doldrums of the fucking, Cub Swanson looked good as fuck his last outing, right? Put Cub Swanson in there with Volkanovski. Cub Swanson's gonna give him fucking problems. So I'm just saying,
Yeah. But the thing is, he's
Volkanovski.
gonna take Cup Swanson down and give us a boring match.
Yeah,
Volkanovski's
that's gonna
wrestling
happen.
will nullify. He will take him down and hold him down and hug him for 5 rounds.
Yeah, that may happen. That may happen. But I'm just saying, Volkanovski, bleh, bleh, bleh. That motherfucker's
He's
mayonnaise.
not an
And
exciting
it's
fighter.
no, not at
Yeah.
all.
But then
Not at all.
but then we moved
Let's move up.
But then we moved to the lightweight division now. We moved to the lightweight
Yep.
division and yeah, we're moving to the lightweight division. Now we're talking about something. Now we got some true matchups that's gonna be monumental in 2021. Conor McGregor versus anyone in the lightweight division is a great matchup. You know what I'm saying? Because we're gonna get the whole effing show, like RVD would say. We're gonna get the whole effing show. We're gonna get excellent promotion. We're gonna get excellent mic skills. We're gonna get an entertaining scrap. That's always guaranteed when you see a McGregor matchup, and you're gonna see the entire business rise up a notch. Uh, uh, Anytime Conor McGregor fights, his opponent is due to a good payday, biggest payday in any of their lives. Every time they fight Conor McGregor, it's a fact. Eddie Alvarez is the only one that signed based on his last contract. He's the only one that got chump change. But everybody else gets paid but him. I don't know what happened there, but we'll let that go. So I'm looking forward to seeing this Poirier versus McGregor 2. It's gonna be a very interesting matchup. I like it because Poirier is not just someone that a lamb to the slaughter. Poirier is the top three in the UFC. So the matchup makes sense. Actually, Poirier is higher in the ranking than Conor McGregor. So the matchup makes sense. They got history. So this is going to sell, right? And then it's recently announced Dan the Hangman Hooker versus Mike Chandler. If you remember, months and months and months ago, we already called this particular matchup Chandler versus Hangman Hooker. We already called this. We called this a long time ago, you know? But well, now they finally seen what we called months ago, and we're gonna see that matchup. I believe this is a very good matchup to bring Chandler into the UFC to into the not only bring him into the UFC but introduce him into the top five. Uh, uh, um, Justin Gaethje versus El Cucuy. I like that match. Part two. I want to see that. I want to see part two. Justin Gaethje versus El Cucuy. I would like to see it again. Uh, El Cucuy has something he has an argument that it was a short notice fight, blah 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 blah. You got to give that to him. Yes, he's lost again, right? He lost to a jiu-jitsu artist, right? The person in Justin Gaethje that he's gonna be facing is not gonna be jiu-jitsu. It's gonna be a stand-up match, and I want to see him get his due in a stand-up war. I want to see that. Who else? Who else is there?
But we saw it.
It's Cup. What?
But we saw it though. Ferguson and
Yeah, we saw
Gaethje.
it, but Gaethje. Yeah, we saw it, but Ferguson's argument was it was a short notice fight. He was prepared for a wrestler. Now he's got a striker in front of him, and I can understand. I can understand. I'll give him that. I'll give him that. Right? So what you're saying is you don't want to see Ferguson in there anymore.
No.
At least not in the
So
top 5.
no. So here's the thing. So obviously, and I'm a Tony Ferguson fan. I mean, this is somebody
Yes.
who holds a dear place in my heart. I mean, right after he won the interim title, he essentially was at the 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu year-end party, and he came in with both his
Mm-hmm.
black belt that obviously John Jock Machado gave Eddie Bravo his personal black belt, and Eddie in turn gave it to Tony. So
Mm-hmm.
he came in with 2 belts, that black belt and the UFC title. He let me drape the UFC title on my shoulder. That is, I mean, it's something that lasts a lifetime. My goodness, it's a memory that'll last a lifetime. The actual it wasn't a former UFC. He was at the time the champ, right? So with that all being said, there's an affinity that I have to Tony
Mm-hmm.
Ferguson, right? But it's with that affinity. I mean, we're talking, 10th Planet. I'm very good with the 10th Planet folks. I've got many of friends there. Before pandemic, I was actually going to start training at 10th Planet Pasadena. Total disclosure,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And even more so, that our good friend, the Spaniard, Tommy Aaron, essentially was Tony Ferguson's main training partner this last fight camp, right? We saw Tommy Aaron,
Mm-hmm.
one of our favorite fighters, one of our good friends, best friends, in the UFC embeddeds, right? So it's great, right? But here's the thing, right? So when Tony Ferguson, and I hate to bring up the personal issues because everybody's got them. I don't want to, bring
Mm-hmm.
air to them or anything like that. But with that all being said, I just think that I just think that Tony Ferguson's mental state, right, with the amount of shots that he's been able to take through the course of his career, I just think that I don't want to see him getting battered because he got battered in the Gaethje fight. He got
Mm-hmm.
battered in the Dubronx fight, right? So, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and Robert M. Tyndall, he says Ferguson was absolutely dominated in that fight. Not sure why they were running that back when the dude has lost his last 2 fights, right? And that's the thing. I don't want him to. I don't want him to fight anymore because again, he's got to have some. He's a husband and a father, right? And I said that, and he made me eat my words. Total disclosure, he made me eat my words because he looked phenomenal in his return back against Showtime Pettis, Anthony Pettis, right? He looked phenomenal, right?
Yes.
But then
Mm-hmm.
it just started to the kinks in the armor started to show himself in a big way. So I agree with Robert Tyndall. I don't know why you would run that back. I don't you know I just don't want every punch that is thrown and he eats. And again, he's made a career of eating shots, right? But again, we saw in Chuck Liddell. We've seen it many a times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where there's only so many times where you can eat them shots. And I think the bump carpet for Tony Ferguson is over, right? And again, with the altered mental state that I mean, he thought that this is a serious issue. He literally thought that he heard some people in the walls. He thought he heard people in the walls, and his wife had to call the cops because she feared. Right? So that's a
Mm-hmm.
serious issue. But again, he looked great in the Showtime fight. He looked phenomenal, right? He looked like Tony Ferguson of old, right? But then the Gaethje fight, and then that
Mm.
the Charles Oliveira fight. And so, to me, if Tony Ferguson's going to fight again, let it be in PFL. Let him, I wouldn't even say Bellator
Mm-hmm.
because I think again with like if he wants to fight, and I say maybe two, possibly three fights is what Ferguson has before he calls it a career. I hope so. I hope he doesn't try to fight until he's
Mm-hmm.
50. Like, and that's only 8 years away, right? To me, I don't want to see Tony Ferguson fight again. And it's less about his ability versus I care about the human being. Fuck the fights, right? He
Mm-hmm.
has to be able to go back to his wife and kids who adore that man. And again, if you've been around Tony Ferguson, there's no reason why you don't. I mean, the night that happened and he draped and it wasn't just me. Anybody that wanted a picture with the title, he draped it over their shoulder. I mean, he's an incredible person. And that was actually the same night that Conor McGregor actually jumped the cage in Bellator in Ireland. That same night. So I actually got to hear what
Mm.
he said. And he said, I quote, I don't give a shit what that fucking McNuggets does. That's it. So I fucking love Tony Ferguson. I love Conor McGregor. I love them both, right? But I don't,
Yeah.
Conor McGregor hasn't taken the damage to his medulla oblongata that Tony Ferguson has, right? And that's it, right? And again, we're living in a time post Chris Benoit, right? Post Junior Seau, and a litany of other football and other combat sports athletes, boxers, football players, rugby, whatever, that have committed suicide or been in an altered mental state because of
Mm-hmm.
the wars of what their in ring prowess and career did, right? So again,
Mm-hmm.
I'm I'm selfish me. I would want fucking Tony Ferguson to be like the guys in New Japan Pro Wrestling and fight forever. But that is not right. But that's not feasible, right? And I mean, I saw like this the season opener for Bryant Gumbel's Real Sports. They basically had Ian McCall and Dean the Boogeyman Lister, and them taking psilocybin to kind of
Mm-hmm.
undo some of the fucking haze that came out of their
Mm-hmm.
traumatic brain injury. Right. I hope Tony Ferguson goes down that route. I hope Dean Lister. I hope Ian McCall kind of whisper in Tony's ear and go like, "Yo, Tony, fucking do a hero dose of fucking psilocybin mushrooms and fucking trip out on another planet." Because again, I just think that
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want to see him take any more damage. I my heart doesn't want to see Tony Ferguson take any more damage. And I said that before the Showtime Pettis fight. And you know what? I was like, you know what? He made me eat my words. I said that about Max Holloway. I said that about Max
Mm-hmm.
Holloway post the fucking weird ass, conversation that he had with Michael Bisping. And Michael Bisping was like, hey, I mean, are you all right? Like, so for fucking Michael Bisping, who's taken a hell of a lot of shots in his career, to be like, yo, you don't look so well,
Mm-hmm.
And again, Bisping is a commentator now, right? I'd love to see fucking Tony Ferguson. I'd love to see Max Holloway as that, right? I'd love to see them in that capacity to say that, hey, you don't have to fight all the fucking time to get your money, get your mother in other ways, right? And if not UFC, then go to another organization. You swear to God that Bellator wouldn't want Tony Ferguson to fucking commentate fights? They've got to be John McCarthy. I mean, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
Yeah.
so that's to me. I can in good conscience see Tony Ferguson. Like Tony Ferguson would have to do like maybe 8 straight 30-second submission victories and take absolutely no damage to to for me to get into the idea of Tony Ferguson fighting again. And again, that is me as a fellow father, a fellow husband, right? That I
Mm-hmm.
just like there's father daughter dances, there's fucking camping trips that he's got with his kids, you know, for forever and ever. We don't. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. That's just me. That might be an unpopular opinion. You know, But
You
that's
know,
me. So I don't. Yeah.
some things need to be said the way you said it. I totally understand where you're going with it. Um, the only person, like you said before, during the Pettis fight, proved you wrong, right? The only person that can prove you wrong again is Tony. He has, I
Right.
mean, whatever matchup that he's gonna be in, he has to go in there and show that he's still capable of doing this job at the highest level. And if he's not capable of doing it at the highest level, he should take your advice and step down from the highest level. Perhaps he can still compete on a lower level. You know what I mean? And he will be looked at as El Kukui still, because he is still El Kukui. He still has those tools, but at the highest level might not be the place for Tony. Might he's gonna have to go in there and prove it if he gets another fight in the UFC.
Well, not just that. I'm not just talking about that, but you were saying how Tony has to realize that he might not be able to compete, right? And it's an instance where he might not be it in his mind. Again, he's an Eddie Bravo black belt. He trains up in Big
Mm-hmm.
Bear like Shane Mosley and Oscar De La Hoya, right? All of the things that are there, and that's kind of the plight of fighters, right? If you're a younger fighter, you're full of piss and vinegar. Even if you're one of the female fighters, you're full of piss and vinegar and youth and vitality and everything like that. But the skill set isn't there, right? And then as you age, you acquire more and more skill set. Your game starts to evolve more and more and more. But at the same time, because you're getting in these wars, to basically disseminate your game plan and your skill set and everything like that. Well, what happens? Right? Your body starts to wane, right? And you're not capable of making the same decisions mentally, whether it be, you slipped, where you should have dodged or whatever the fuck, right? Like just that, right? Or even the fact that, again, who's going to tell a badass fighter, right? A former champion, an Eddie Bravo belt, somebody who trains like Shane Mosley and Oscar De La Hoya, that your fucking time is done. He's not going to do that himself. Not one iota, right? And he might not even have the mental capacity to
Mm-hmm.
do that
Mm-hmm.
until it's too fucking late,
Mm-hmm.
right? And again, we already have Junior Seau. We already have fucking Chris Benoit. Traumatic brain injuries. Those are
Mm-hmm.
fucking real, right? And everybody goes, hey, I wish there were signs.
Mm-hmm.
Look up one Tony Ferguson interview. Tell me that there weren't signs. That look no further than the last interview with Brett Okamoto from ESPN. If that isn't cringe inducing, I don't know what the fuck was. And again, as much as I love Tony Ferguson, I'm not sure I'd want to interview him because it's a zero sum game, right? You're in Tony's world, right? And so again, I love Tony Ferguson as a human being and whatever. But fuck the fights, man. You gotta go back to your wife and kids, and you have to have a quality of life. I hope fucking Tony Ferguson outlives me. I hope that motherfucker lives until 102. I swear to you, I do. That's not gonna happen. Engaging in these wars, you again. So that Tony Ferguson's number 5. Oliveira already beat him, which is number 4. Gaethje, he was already beat him. Poirier is going to handle him, and even Conor McGregor might piece him up. So I don't know. And again, if he gets a submission win, he's going to take a little bit damage, right? Again, Tony Ferguson could go on a fucking 12-fight streak, get another title, jump up in the division, whatever. I want that all to be accomplished. Him not taking one fucking shot. Not one fucking shot. There's one fucking shot to the head, I'm out. I never want to see him again
Could be
in the UFC, in any type of combat sports competition. I don't want to see it because why? Why?
I,
He Tony
I,
Ferguson has nothing to prove to me
you don't
at
want him to
all.
get hurt.
He's a bad motherfucker. He's a bad motherfucker before he won the title. He's a bad motherfucker before he came into the UFC. Before he was an Eddie Bravo black belt. Before he was training in Big Bear. Tony Ferguson, if you think you have something to prove to me, a fat lard ass podcaster that is hopes to be one day in jiu-jitsu a tenth of what you are. Like, you don't have anything to prove to me.
Mm-hmm.
Total disclosure. You have nothing
Mm-hmm.
to prove to me. I want you to be here for your family. I want you to be able to see your grandkids. Imagine Tony Ferguson, if one of his grandkids, because it skips a generation, maybe his kids don't fight, but his grandkids fight. And Tony Ferguson to be able to fucking train his kids, his grandchildren, that would warm my heart. That would warm my heart. I want Tony Ferguson. He's in Orange County. If Tony Ferguson opens up a school, which I think he has, I want that. So who are you going to fucking learn better than outside of Eddie Bravo in
That's
terms
true.
of Planet Jiu-Jitsu, and Abel Sanchez in terms of boxing, right? Than Tony Ferguson, and being able to put both of those things together. I want everybody to fucking sign up for fucking, if you're in the Orange County area or the surrounding area, go to Tony Ferguson School, pack that son bitch out. And so you never have to fucking. I want him to make millions teaching fucking jiu-jitsu and MMA and everything like that, so he doesn't have to fight again. I hope he's a millionaire. I hope he's done good with his money, because again, this is not a slight on Tony Ferguson one iota. This is me as a like, I care about that dude. He gave me one of the coolest memories of my life, right? And to that, I can't thank him enough, right? But it's with that same instance, I cannot be selfish, because as cool as that was for me,
That's
and
true.
I want him there, his kids and his wife need him to be there 10 times more than I need him to be. 100 times more. So that's why, again,
I can
he
dig it.
yeah, he can
I can dig
he
it.
can fight whatever and fight until whatever. But that shit is submissions or flash KOs, like whatever. The minute that he fucking increase one bit of damage in his head, and it could even be the fucking lightest thing. Look at fucking Dale Earnhardt Sr., right? He's been in so many fucking crashes, and then on paper, you go back to the footage, compare to all of the crashes that he had before that, and especially the design of the car was better than it had been when he started, right? It didn't look that bad. Didn't look that bad at all. But that's the one that killed him. We know how this ends.
And I did it. That's true. You're right, man. You're right. You're right. Yeah, man. Shout out to Tony Ferguson, man. Keep doing your thing. We wish you the best
Absolutely.
in whatever you decide to do. But who is the dark horse? Who do you want to see shine bright in the lightweight division come 2021?
Well, okay, so considering, right, that this Poirier versus Conor fight is going to be for the vacant title, because Habib essentially should have vacated his title. He retired, so that means a title vacation, not like
Vacated.
going out to Maui, but you know what I mean. So with that all being said, right? So the winner of this will become the undisputed uh, lightweight champion, right? So I would like to see what Conor and Charles Oliveira looks like. That might be cool to see. I'd like to see, obviously Conor already fought RDA. That's how he got the title. So that's not it. But I mean, fuck, I would love to see Conor versus, because who's to say, right? And here's a little bit of a tidbit, right? None other than Hamzat Chimaev has actually got on record to threaten Conor McGregor to say that if he saw McGregor on Fight Island, he's going to fucking hurt him. That's what Hamzat said, right? So with that all being said, maybe Conor doesn't like the way that, Hamzat is playing Dana White, right? And let's say Conor floats over to Bellator, because he can. He can, right? I mean, if you're Scott Coker, you're going to put him up against Patricio Pitbull. That's it. And I'm going to say that's going to be as close to a title unification bout as you can get, because it should Conor McGregor beat Dustin Poirier, right, and vacates the title because again, Dana White isn't reeling Hamzat in, talking shit about him, right? Now Hamzat is the new golden goose where Conor was before, right? So with that all being said, right, Conor wins and says, "Fuck the UFC, I'm going over to Bellator." Him and Patricio Pitbull again, that is the linear fucking title holder of the UFC going up against the Bellator linear fighter. And Patricio Pitbull wins, which will claim Bellator supremacy in yet another division, right? So I'm just saying, like,
Mm-hmm.
that's it, you know. But I don't think should Conor win the title, I don't think we're going to see much of Conor at all after this fight with Poirier. Because why? Because I don't want Connor to be in the same position as what I said of Ferguson. He's going to lose if Connor's a cool cat. This cool cat is going to lose one of its fucking lives with fucking Poirier. If he wins, he's going to have to pack a fucking lunch, throw the fucking kitchen sink at Poirier because Poirier, proves so many fucking problems for a lot of people, and that's why Poirier is where he is. Right, 26-6. That's
Yeah.
his record going into June 16th or whatever. June 16th is the fight night, the Holloway Cater fight, and then the following Saturday
Yeah. Yeah.
is Poirier McGregor. Right. So with that all being said, right,
Right. That's right.
that's an interesting thing. If Conor really wanted to fucking change the game and he wants ownership, you don't think if Scott Coker could sign Conor McGregor, not only would he, but also remember Conor wanted percentage, ownership percentage of the UFC, and was thwarted. You swear to God that there wouldn't be Scott Coker and the heads at Viacom that will give Conor a piece of Bellator if he floats over? That's not out of the realm of possibility, folks. You know?
No, not at all. Not at all. But the thing about what I've come to recognize about Conor McGregor is, if he's in the UFC, I think he's done. I don't see him going to Bellator, and this is why. I believe Conor has gotten used to the finer things in life, the best tasting food, the best what do you call these material of clothing. He's become accustomed to that style of living, and for him to go down silk to cotton, it ain't gonna happen. No disrespect, just an analogy, not disrespecting Bellator, but worldwide we know that the UFC is the top of the food chain, and Bellator is not. Even though they have excellent fighters there, you know what I mean. Patricia Pitbull is a formidable opponent, right? But then after Patricio, who's next in the 155-pound division? A member, a big name that can be comparable, that can stand across the cage from Conor, name wise, not skill wise, name wise. Remember, this is a business. We're selling fights when we're trying to sell it to as many people as possible. Who else can I put across that cage from Conor McGregor in Bellator that's gonna be like, oh, I know that guy. That's a matchup. Besides the champ, who else? It's very hard to find another name. I mean, they're there. I'm not saying these people aren't good fighters. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying marketability. Who else can we put across the cage from Conor in Bellator that's gonna sell 1.3 million pay-per-view buys? Who? I don't know. I don't know who that person is. But in the UFC, we got Charles Du Bronx. We got many names that we can name that people will recognize immediately, right? People that can hold their own on the opposite end of the cage. Not physically. I'm not talking about skill wise. I'm talking about body of work, right? I'm talking about body of work. But in regards to the dark horse of the division, I want to see Charles Du Bronx do great things coming up. He's been in the UFC for a very long time, and he's got a foundation that's formidable, right? His body of work is formidable, such that you could put him across the cage from Conor and be like, yes, we want to see what Conor can do against this guy. So Charles Du Bronx is my guy in the 155-pound division. There are many fighters that are still up and coming, but he is my guy. And then we move on to the welterweight division. I am not impressed with Street Jesus. I'm not impressed. I don't know why. I don't know why. My friend Steven Bravo, rest in peace, was very high on this guy. He's like, oh man, Connor talks too much. Connor talks too much. Connor this, Connor, you know what I mean? I don't like his style of the way he talks. You know what I mean? He was like what's this guy's name? Street Jesus. See, that's what I'm talking about. Hardworking man, blah blah blah. If my buddy Steven was here to see how Street Jesus turned out, he'll be very disappointed. You know what I mean? He'll be extremely disappointed. It is what it is, man. So people do what they have to do. They got to eat. And I was trying to tell my friend back then before he passed, I was trying to tell him, hey, man, if given the opportunity, Street Jesus would do the same thing Conor is doing right now. He just hadn't been given that opportunity. And when he was given the opportunity, what did he do? He's chilling with Trump. He's chilling with Trump. You know what I mean? It is what it is. This is the money-making business. I try to explain that to Steven, but Steven didn't understand. See, Steven is from the hood. He's from the streets. He lives by a certain code of conduct. You know what I'm saying? What you say is what you say. He lives by that. You know what I mean? And when he looks at someone like Jesus, he sees that same mentality in him. But I see something different. Well, I saw something different, and what I saw came to fruition. So it is what it is. When we're in the 170 division, Kamaru Usman is still the one. Who is there? Who do you see in a 170-pound division that's comparable that can take that title? Is it Gilbert Burns? I don't think Gilbert Burns got it. I don't think so.
No, I think you float all the way down to number 6 and Nate Diaz. Should Nate Diaz come back? Colby Covington could absolutely do it. As much as I threw up in my mouth a little bit as I said it, Covington could. He could. But then again, he didn't. The last time we saw, I don't want to see any rematches, right? Especially with one-sided ass kickings like they were. Usman fucking broke Kobe's jaw and sent him running back to the fucking locker room. That is not hyperbole. That is exactly what fucking happened, right? So Usman and Colby don't want to see it again, right? Gilbert Burns, now and Douglas Lima, the fucking welterweight champion of Bellator, Douglas Lima will fucking spank fucking Usman. To be honest with you, right? Usman's a wrestler with shit knees, because of all of the wrestling that he done over the course of his college career, right? So with that all being said, Lima, jiu-jitsu practitioner, he's good off of his back, right? Usman Lima would be a poor man's version, and not to say, again, not to besmirch either the fighters, but this would be a poor man's version of the much babble-hooey Habib versus Tony Ferguson match, right? This is kind of it, right? A poor man's version, a cut rate version of that, right? So Usman, so the only person, like, in terms of linear rankings that would fucking beat Usman, and not to say that Usman's dominant. I'm not saying just because he beat Colby that he'll probably beat Gilbert Burns, right? That's not saying he's a dominant champion. It's just he's figured out a way to win over these opponents, right? But two people that right off the bat he wouldn't do. One is far-fetched, right? That is linear welterweight champion of Bellator, Douglas Lima, right? He beats fucking Kamaru Usman 9 times out of 10, twice on Sundays, right? And one person for sure that is in the UFC roster, should they come to an agreement, that I know will beat the shit out of fucking Usman on the feet, on the ground, doesn't matter, is one Nate Diaz, right? So with that all being said, that's what I want to see. I don't want to see Gilbert Burns. I don't want to, and again, how many fights does Kamaru have? Not many. I'd say he's got 2 fights in him. right, with his knees and everything like
About
that.
19.
He's got yeah, he's got other I think he's rapping and like you said about Conor McGregor, Kamaru Usman is enjoying the finer things in life, right? So I think we get two more fights out of
Mhm.
Usman, right? The way those go down, obviously the far fetched one, Douglas Lima. The right, like the fucking one that I would make if I'm the UFC matchmakers, it's Usman Nate Diaz, right? That's how you lure Nate Diaz. You fucking pull up
Mhm.
8 bridge trucks up to fucking Stockton to the fucking and just put him at right. I mean, strewn him across fucking Nate Diaz's lawn with the contract in the fucking middle for a title fight, and that's it. And you beat Usman that way, right? No, I don't want to see Colby Covington. I don't want to see Gilbert Burns. I don't want to see fucking Jorge Masvidal. We saw fucking Jorge Masvidal. Don't want to see that. Don't want to see fucking. Don't want to see Tyron Woodley at all. You know, uh, Anthony Pettis is in another stratosphere. The PFL stratosphere. Wonderboy Thompson. Michael Chiesa. You know, probably not. Doesn't speak out at me. Neil Magny is interesting, but he's too far down. So I mean, again, Diaz hasn't fought in what, the last year or so, right? And he still
Mhm.
commands
Mhm.
a top 10 ranking in the UFC, right?
Mhm.
His
Mhm.
you know
Mhm.
his last fight was a losing effort to that BMF title fight, right? So again, I say
Mhm.
you pull out all the fucking stops. You fucking give him the access to the fucking vault, right?
Mhm.
And a title
Mhm.
contract, and fucking take that to the fucking Stockton, the 209, and that's how you do that, right? Usman, much like Volkanovski, just because he's the champion doesn't mean he's the most dominant in his division in any organization,
True.
right? So,
Mhm.
and again,
Mhm.
if this is prime Kamar Usman, would have a different fucking story. And it's sad to say that I'm saying that
Mhm.
who sports a 17-1 record, right? He's only lost once in his entire career. But I mean,
Mhm.
his knees are shot, whatever. If we're in a different scenario, some cryo fucking things inject, damn stem cells or whatever, I might I might feel a little bit different about Kamar
Mhm.
Usman, right? But again, Kamaru Usman, he's
Mhm.
he. I don't think he needs it. I don't think he needs this fight with Gilbert Burns. He can walk away out of the into the sunset, and he has ways. He's a fucking great commentator when he's given the tasks, right? He's rapping. He's doing other things.
Mhm. Mhm.
On the other side of, like, again, Volkanovski,
Mhm.
Kamaru Usman, right, is dynamic. Him on Rogan is dynamic, right? So
Mhm. Mhm.
figure that
Mhm.
shit out. But does he need to fight? No, 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 no.
Mhm.
So, like I said, I want to see Usman Diaz, and that's it. That's the only UFC thing. That's all
Okay.
I got.
Okay, I like that matchup. I like that Diaz matchup. I like that. But since Diaz is coming from a loss, he might have to win one before he gets that opportunity. But either way, I like that. But then we move on to the middleweight division. The current champ being Israel Adesanya. Right now, I am not interested in seeing anyone, not one person, in the middleweight division to challenge for the title. So what I would like to see is a tournament style situation in which a bunch of individuals fight to get a number one spot while Easy moves up to 205. And then whenever they figure that out, then Easy can come back and get that title. Or if Easy goes up and he wins and he doesn't want to come back down, then whoever the final two can fight for that title, and then that be that. So that's that for the 185-pound division. I am not interested in anyone in the 185-pound division, even though there are good fighters there. Nothing strikes me as okay. I want to see that. Not right now.
Yeah.
This is just my honest opinion. I'm as you can see,
No.
I'm going off the dome right now. This is what I see. I don't see any competition right now for Izzy. None. The Tory,
Ab-
the Italian fellow, he's coming up. He's up and coming, but he's already lost too easy, and he lost convincingly. So if he
mhm.
if he wants to say something, he needs to smash anyone else that has anything to say about being a number one contender or winning a title shot. Anyone that mentions I want a title shot, Vittori should smash that person. And when
Yeah,
he's done smashing everybody, then he can call out the champ. Then he can call out the champ. But so outside of that, I don't want to see any 185. Anyone, I have no interest in the 185 division. So now we got Izzy moving up to challenge immediately for the title.
yeah.
This is what I want to see. Immediately, I want to see Izzy versus Blackowitz. I want to see Izzy versus Blackowitz. Right? While this is happening, everybody else in the 205 light heavyweight division can do a tournament style whatever. While these two champions are busy, they can do their thing too. You know what I mean? And get the number one contender there. And then when the champs are done doing what they do, then they can step in there and do what they do. So that's right. That light heavyweight, middleweight, light heavyweight. That's how I feel about it. You know what I
That
mean?
that
Shout
solves
out
it.
to
Yeah,
Dominic Reyes. Shout out to Dominic Reyes. He's still up and coming with his thing. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. So he'll do his thing, find his way back to the title, smash everybody he needs to smash, and then go get that title. You know what I'm saying? But outside of that,
yeah.
this is what I want to see. These are only matches I want to see. Izzy versus Blackowitz. Both middleweight and light heavyweight. This is what I want to see.
No, absolutely. And Don McGuire says, "Sup, big homies? What's up, Don McGuire?
What's up,
Shout out
McGuire?
to you and
What's up,
the
baby?
fighter's voice." And again, yeah, Stylebender is a bad dude, and I agree. And I'm not a
Yes.
big Stylebender fan at all, at all. I'm far from it. I'm far like he just doesn't click the boxes with me, right? But I mean, is he? I, again, so we're looking at just top 10, right? Top 10 in all of MMA in terms of the welterweight, in terms of the middleweight division. We've got Izzy reigning supreme, then Whitaker. I don't want to see that again. Paulo Costa, don't want to see that again. Yoel Romero,
Too easy.
he's in Bellator,
Too
right?
easy.
Gegard
He's gone.
Masasi, Bellator champion. Yeah, and he doesn't.
Bellator.
Right, but even still, if we did Cars promotional, he stands no chance, right? Cannoneer, not gonna happen. Darren Till, not gonna happen. Vittori, not
Nah.
gonna happen. Hermanson,
Nah.
Gastelum, Kevin
Nah.
Holland, Jacare,
Nah.
Eric Brunson, Ryan
Nah.
Weidman,
Nah.
Uriah Hall. That's the
Nah.
top 15 in all of MMA. And again, nobody, and I mean nobody, beats Israel Adesanya. So again, yeah, I would look forward to him moving
Not
up to
yet.
205. Yeah, moving up to 205. I swear to God, I think that yeah, it has to be some type of Pokemon. They unleash him a motherfucker on Pokemon Go. They do that real steel Hugh Jackman fucking robot. I think a robot is the only thing that can stand a chance, a competitive fight with Israel Adesanya.
Mhm.
And again, this is just purely skill. I'm not an Izzy's fan. I, I don't like hearing him talk. I don't like. I don't. If Izzy retired, good for you, Izzy. Whatever, but I don't want to see him. I just I don't. I've got.
Hey,
And again,
you.
if for those who love him, great, kudos. I'm glad that there's somebody like that for you to cheer. He just doesn't do anything for me, but that's not to take away from his talent. And again, his dominance of that
Mhm.
that division. And again, the
Mhm.
dominance of not just one but two. I second
Mhm.
your sentiments and want to see him go up to 205. That would be great.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. In regards to it, I kind of understand how you feel. I kind of understand how you feel about Izzy. And then you got to remember, Izzy's just a kid. He's what,
Yeah,
20, 23, 24 years old. You know what I mean? And he's on this stage. He's on a man stage, but he's still a
yeah,
child. You know what I mean? So you're gonna expect uh these tweets and these memes. I mean, this is what young people do, right? At first, when he first came, I was like, "Oh man, this dude's from Nigeria." You know what I mean? But then I I couldn't take the tweets, man. So I stopped following him. But then, you know, I followed him again, because he's from Nigeria. So I've learned to ignore the tweets and his things that he posts, you know. But I follow because I want to catch him training. I want to catch him training. I want to catch these things. so I can see where he's at, where he's physically at, mentally at. This is how I judge these folks and watching them train. This is how I see and make my decisions. I watch their tapes on Instagram. I see how they're training, the type of techniques they're using. So this is why I follow Izzy. Furthermore, when we move on into the heavyweight division, this is where the this is where the cream of the crop is right here. So
Now,
obviously,
before we get that, Don McGuire says,
sure.
"Come on, brother." Like yeah, and then nobody can handle when it comes to man strength on Izzy, right? I mean, there have been men who have stepped to Israel Adesanya and fallen prey to Israel Adesanya. So yeah, I agree. So in terms of the heavyweight division, Voodoo Maximus, how do you see this going down? How does this 2021 play out? What are your dream matches?
Well, just yesterday, I ran into the Rosenstruck versus the Cameroonian, the guy from Cameroon,
and
heavyweight.
Nagano. Francis.
Yeah, and
Nagano?
Francis. I ran into it. Yeah, and I saw all 15 seconds of it, and just like the first day it happened, man, I was still shocked by the brutal power of this man. This man grew up in the sand dunes, picking up sand, you know what I mean? Throwing sand, digging, and so he's got that power, man. So when he puts his hands on you, man, he shut that lights out. He's been in there with Stipe already, some 2 years ago. Now he's back, and he's the number one contender. And Stipe is doing his absolute best to run his ass away and not have to face this young man. But resistance is futile, like the Borgs will say in Star Wars. Resistance is futile. You cannot run, you cannot hide, Stipe. The man is here, and he's calling. He's knocking on your door, and if you do not answer, he's going to kick that door down and smash into your house. Do you want to terrify your family, or are you going to come outside in front of the yard and face this man? You're either going to hide in your house and have this man break down your door and terrify your family, or you're going to come out. Come out. Feng Wai Sure, come out. Like Bruce Lee said to that one gentleman. Feng Wai Sure, come out. So are you going to hide, or are you going to step out? I believe we're going to get this match maybe no later than February, March. We'll get this match, and we'll get that going. Now, after this match, it has been announced that John Bones Jones will be the next for the title, to get a title shot in the heavyweight division. Whichever one wins, Ngannou or Stipe, will get John Jones next. I am looking forward to this. It's like you hit one mountain, and then right after that, the next mountain is coming in John Jones. So it doesn't matter who's coming to face John Jones. I want to see that match. It doesn't matter, Stipe or Ngannou. I believe when it comes to being a complete fighter, I believe John Jones surpasses both Stipe and Francis Ngannou. Now, those guys have enough power to shut his lights out. Now, the question is, are you fast enough to shut his lights out? Are you quick enough? Will you be able to corner this man that moves so much, that is so long, and he might not be as powerful as you, but he's got more reach than you. He'll be able to keep you at the tail end of his punches while he hits you and you can hit him. And when you rush in to get him, he will take you down. He will take you to be faster than you. Yeah, he's putting on more weight. But he's got 3 months to get used to the weight that he's putting on. John Jones will be a force to reckon with in the heavyweight division. And if he captures that title, he's going to run another undefeated streak in the heavyweight division. I believe the man can go undefeated in his lifetime.
Yeah, and I mean, who? Like I'm going like New Day. Who beats him? No one. Not Ngannou. Like
Who?
No one.
Who?
Yeah.
Who?
And if I'm Stipe and John Jones is sniffing at my heels, I'm gonna be like Iron Maiden, and I'm gonna run to the heels. Like seriously, Stipe better run the fuck up and down that fire pole. You stay a fucking firefighter, all that shit, because it's yeah. John Jones is gonna fucking eat him up. He's trounced again. He, let's look at this. Let's play a little bit of MMA math, and I know MMA math is not accurate. Total disclosure, but let's think about it. Stipe, his last 3 fights were with the same fucking guy, Daniel Cormier, right? And no disrespect to DC, he is somebody that I have watched on Strikeforce Contenders Challenger Series. He's one of my favorite fighters of all time, right? He makes me look like I'm an athlete, right? He he's got similar build on me. I mean, I don't have the talent that he is, but I mean, we're the same build. We're short, portly guys, right? So I'm like, fuck yeah, man. The way that he fucking tossed the catch wrestling legend that it's Josh Barnett in Strikeforce, the Grand Prix. Like, fuck. But again, Stipe Miocic's last 3 fights are against the same person, and that same person is Daniel Cormier, right? John Jones beat the shit out of Daniel Cormier. That is irrefutable. So, if you're just to play MMA math, right? Just playing MMA math, right? If Stipe is having a trouble, the fact that we have to have a trilogy of the same guy that John Jones beat the shit out of twice, give him all the coke. It's just, he's gonna run into all the fucking pregnant ladies. Like he's gonna fucking crash the car, fucking run off, forgot that he fucking left the coke and the money in the shit, run like a fucking gazelle in the night, whatever. We're gonna see that scene play out 1,000 times, and there's gonna be new disputation, right? John Jones is the baddest motherfucker around. That's it. And then Izzy.
Yeah. Person that's going to have enough. Yeah, that's it. Exactly. That's where I was going with it. The only person that's going to have enough speed to deal with John Jones, enough footwork to deal with John Jones, to take John Jones mentally to that level. Not power. This ain't about power. See, it's skill that we're talking about here. When you get to the level of a John Jones and an Izzy, it's the skill that puts them where they're at. It's not their power or their ability to knock somebody out or this and that. They don't knock people out, really. What they do is they break down people mentally. They break them down with taps, like the Diaz brothers do. You know what I mean? They'll break you down systematically with small. They're like archaeologists. They chip, and then boom, they hit you with that one shot, and everything comes crumbling down. This is how they beat people. Now you have 2 people at the highest level of striking, in John Jones and Izzy Adesanya. I see these 2. If Izzy goes to 205 and he wins the title, I see Izzy. And granted, John Jones goes and he gets this title and he wins as well. I see these 2 gentlemen coming in there. I see them coming in there no later than September, August, for the title, unification. You know what I mean? For the undisputed greatest of all time, the true greatest of all time, is John Jones. And for that title, this is beyond. If Izzy goes in there and he takes a 205 title, and John Jones goes in there and takes a heavyweight title, this is beyond UFC title. This is the best fighter ever. This is what we're talking about. The best fight. This is beyond belts. This is beyond belts. This is for the title of the greatest UFC fighter ever. Ever. The greatest MMA fighter. The greatest MMA fighter ever. This is what we're talking about here.
Greatest combat sports athlete. Because, I mean, if that's the case, you throw, there's Ali in his prime. Could Ali beat fucking John Jones? Not a chance. Could Jack Johnson in his prime? Could Mike Tyson in his prime? You see how my head is going? Not a fucking chance, right? And I would actually say should this happen, which I believe in my heart of hearts, that is, that's the ability to print money, right? So, with that all being said, I think should that happen, Izzy defends his title, moves up to 205, captures the 205 title, right? And then moves up to heavyweight because, again, there's nobody at 205 for him to do. He's going to fucking chase John Jones down, and there isn't anywhere for John Jones to fucking run to, right? But should Israel Adesanya, who's John Jones 2.0, who's Anderson Silva 2.0, right, combined, right? Who's to say if he captures two titles in a year and was coming into the year as the defending of the lighter weight class, that's three consecutive titles that Israel theoretically would have won. So should that happen come August, right? Again, he fucking he. I don't think he defends. I don't think he defends. His title in 2021. I don't want to see it happen. I say they make that fight with Blackwitz probably in May, and then by October, November, we get Jones versus
Mm-hmm.
Adesanya, and Adesanya, especially on the way that Jones looked, Adesanya is going to stomp Jones out. All right. So with that all being said, like the only person that could throw, like the kryptonite of John Jones is Superman, is essentially Israel Adesanya. If they don't go on a collision course, John Jones reigns at heavyweight from from for years and years to come. So that's the case. So that's that. So that's what I've got. But I would say that should Izzy capture those titles, he is the greatest fighter of all time.
Of all time. That
Of
that
all
that
time.
that moniker actually fit. It will actually fit because he different divisions and captured titles in three different divisions. That moniker will actually fit as the true greatest of all time. Not a 170-pound weight class. Khabib shrinks down, killing his kidneys to make 155. Now he's bigger than everybody. He punks everybody. Now he wants to call himself the greatest of all time. I don't think so. I don't think so. I do not think so.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So that's that. And Don McGuire says he's jumping in to interview Christine Misfit Ferreira in 30 minutes. So
Ooh,
you guys got to
that's the
check that out
one.
on the Fighter's Voice. Yes, absolutely. And the Misfit has been a guest on the According to Woods
Okay.
channel as well. So you guys should check that out. A good little 28-minute interview of literally the first Police Gazette champion in North American history, Christine Misfit Ferreira. So that's cool. But before we leave you, we're gonna do some quick hits, right? So I'm gonna throw to Voodoo in terms of
Mm-hmm.
who do you think
Okay.
was the breakout fighter of the year?
A breakout. Many incredible fighters that came out this year. The one rung the loudest, and that's Hamzat Chimaev. He rung the loudest early on. He did something that hadn't been done before. He came on. Yeah, his fighting style, you can say it's like Khabib's, that style, right? But he did things differently. He did things differently. He showed everyone in the, what I'm saying? He did that, did it loud. Now, people say that, he fought a bunch of cans when he came to the UFC. He fought a bunch of cans. But prior to coming to the UFC, he fought some formidable opponents, which is what got him to the UFC. So now that he's at the UFC, he's fighting UFC caliber fighters and he's beating them, right? Now he's got Leon Edwards. Now, when it comes to breakout fighter of the year, I am choosing Hamzat Chimaev. Now, against Leon Edwards, I will advise Hamzat to go in there, respect on mind. If he doesn't, he's going to get beat.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Straight up.
So I'm actually gonna put it to three, right? Because I don't think it's So I'm gonna go.
Okay.
I'm gonna echo the
Okay.
sentiments of Hamzat because he's definitely there, but also we've got to throw in Daniel Rodriguez. And I'm not saying that
Okay.
because Daniel's a friend.
Hmm.
I'm saying that the guy has fought four times in 2020 and won them. Well, he lost the last one, but even still, he fought four times in 2020.
Hmm.
Like that, if that ain't breakout, I don't know
Hmm.
what the ramifications are. And then I will also say, literally, the former
That's true.
LFA
That's
flyweight
true.
champion Jimmy the Brick Flick, because he won the LFA title, with a 30, like a first round 30-second submission, right? Won his Contender Series debut in 30-second submission, and his UFC debut, his main roster debut, with a first round submission. So it doesn't get brighter than Jimmy Flick.
Hmm. And it does get brighter than Jimmy Flick. Kevin Holland.
Okay, I
Five
mean,
fights. Five fights. Five wins. Five fights. Five wins.
this is true. That's true. That's true. Um, yeah. So I mean, there's this. Okay, so we're gonna go. Was there a feud of the year? I don't know.
Feud of the year.
The feud of the year is Dana White against everyone. That's my pick.
There are many.
Dana White versus everyone. That's
That's
my
it.
pick.
That feud of the year. Dana White versus the media. I agree. I agree. Dana White versus the media. Mhm. That's it. I
And it
agree with
wasn't.
you one
No,
hundred
I mean
percent. And Dana
it was
White won.
everyone. Bob Arum is not a member of the media, right? All the like
Yeah.
this was literally Dana White versus everyone. That's what this shit was, and I mean
Yeah.
Dana White is undisputed, and
Agreed.
unfortunately, due to his naysayers, right? Um, Now we're gonna go with
Mhm.
submission of the year. What is your
Mm.
submission of the year, Voodoo
Submission of the
Maximus?
year. Well, in regards to submission, the most recent is Jimmy Flick, that flying triangle, man. That was very impressive against a formidable opponent. So I'm giving it to Jimmy Flick. You know, recency bias is in there, but still,
Okay,
it's a
I'm not mad at
submission
that.
that was phenomenal.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
What do you
mine.
have?
Oh God, I can't remember who did it, but I want to say it was the Queen of Violence. I want to say it was her, but her fucking.
Oh,
I
that
mean,
knee bar.
she straight up. Yeah, it's you call it the knee bar. I call it the fucking stump puller. That shit was an Indian deathlock as fuck. So that is my submission of the year. I mean, she hit that like fucking,
All
and
right.
and again, that is like the quintessential leg lock, right? Where it's like old girl was like, she
Mm,
was good, she was good until she wasn't good at all, and she was
yeah.
tapping, So like fucking flea on his
Uh,
base, she was tapping that shit, dude. She was slap basing that shit, So yeah, that's the Queen of Violence is fucking. You call it leg lock. I call a fucking stump puller. She. Yeah, that's my submission of the year. Undisputed, undisputed. All right. So we're going
no doubt.
with last but very not least, the
Hey, I'm
knockout of
online,
the
bro.
year.
I'm online.
The knockout of the year, and we're not talking about the puppy versus Voodoo. Puppy's undefeated, but let's say we've got three, right? We have Jordan Levitt slam
Okay.
KO in his UFC debut. We've got Cody Garbrandt is buzzer beater, and I'm forgetting something else. Can you think of another one? There was the
what's
fucking
the young guy's name? The most recent
Kevin Holland.
turning
Oh
back kick.
yes, yeah, the fucking
Kevin Holland. No, not
no,
Kevin Holland. The other guy that
Jamal.
Kevin Holland's
No,
knocked
is
him
it?
out.
Yeah, fucking. It's not Jamal.
Cross hates that guy. Cross hates him.
Who hates him?
Cross. The guy Cross.
Chris Cross?
KRU some guy.
It's
I can't remember that guy's name either. But
that was Impa versus
that.
Oh man, what am I blanking?
Yeah, that one versus that guy. We know Impa, but we don't know him.
Yeah,
that guy. Yeah. See that kick, that turning. That kick is very common in martial arts. So when it happened, I wasn't really that excited. I mean, it was great, but I wasn't really excited because I've seen it many times before. I've seen it in Jackie Chan movies. I've seen, like you said, Owen Hart do it all the time as a finishing move. So it wasn't like, it didn't ring loud like it did for everyone else, for me. So, but when you look at the body of knockouts throughout the year, that was the most dynamic knockout there was. So I give it to that guy. Joaquin Buckley.
Joaquin Buckley.
Joaquin Buckley.
Yeah, Joaquin Buckley.
Something Buckley.
Yes,
Buckley.
It's Joaquin.
So
Joaquin
I'll
Buckley
give it to Buckley.
Sure. Okay. I mean, and the fucking, Holland's fucking the KO of Jacare. That was fucking crazy too.
That was cool. That was cool. It was new.
I know you hate on it because Jacare's chin, but I have never fucking seen that. Somebody get up and fucking KO. I've never seen that. I've never seen that at all. So you gotta fucking throw that in there. It's one of those.
KO from his butt.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. It's an honorable mention.
KO.
Definitely
I hope they put that in the new fucking UFC video game and shit like that. Just fucking, because that's my KO. I want to get off my ass and fucking KO somebody. Like that's the move that I want. I want to fucking create a player that fucking move right there. That's it. But you say Buckley? Yeah, I mean
Buckley. I'll give it to Buckley.
I like fucking Cody Garbrandt because that was like KO beep. There's nothing more dramatic than that.
Yeah, nothing more dramatic, but it's easy to knock somebody out with your hands. It's very easy. This is why I'm not considering anything that happened with the hand. It's very simple. But for someone to hold your leg, you jump in the air, spin, kick, land on the chin, land on the ground without falling. This has higher difficulty involved. Even though the kid is athletic, it came fairly easy to him. But the fact that under those circumstances, under the pressure that he was on, for him to have the intuition to flow into that kick the way he did, I gotta give him his props. I'll give him his props.
All right.
The Cody Garbrandt, it wasn't calculated. He just swung. You know what I mean? He just swung and it landed. It wasn't like, wow. I wasn't very impressed.
But still, that's chance, right? It's experience meets opportunity, right? And that was an opportune fucking time.
Yeah.
Like look.
Here's the difference.
Okay.
Cody Garbrandt's guy can come back in 2 months. Impa will not come back for another year. He ain't coming back if he comes back. And that's if he ever comes back. That was brutal.
Yeah. Do you remember in that fight? Do you remember who you picked?
What?
Impa.
I picked Impa, right? And Impa was supposed to. Hey, he was on his way. He was winning until he
He
held onto
was.
the leg too much. He was winning. He had fun. See, Impa's got fundamentals, and that's why I chose him. The other kid is still growing. Buckley's still growing. You know, he's still. But Impa is already past that stage, and he's becoming more of a company man, right? He knows how to win. He does what he has to do to win. But then he made the ultimate mistake, which is hold on to another man's leg for too long. And the guy that Flick fought also held onto the leg too long, and then he got
Yep.
caught in the triangle. You can't hold on. Look, man, you're either gonna do something with the leg or you're not. Do something with the leg. Either you're gonna throw it up in the air and make him fall on his back, drive him while you raise the leg, or do something. Don't just hold on to it and stand still. This is when you become a target. And those two fellas became easy targets, easy picking.
Yeah. Yeah. So I get what you're saying, but Cody's mine. Cody's mine. That to me,
Okay,
that's
cool.
that's lottery shit. That's lottery shit. Like I hope Cody fucking put it all on black that night, you know, because that's that shit. Because again, for his hands to be down, for Cody to fucking swing, and that the 1 second fucking the horn as motherfucker drops, the horn sounds like again, and it was a fucking banger of a fight. You know, a set, you know, or Rafael Sun Sao ain't no chump. I mean, this is somebody that we were, yeah, everybody was touting as the heir to the title and shit like that, and Cody made him look fucking foolish. So that's that's what I'm saying. Like, there's three things that had to happen for that KO to happen. And again, you might say there might not be skill and whatever. He just swung or whatever. But yeah, he swung at the right moment. You know, Sensa's hands were fucking down at the right moment. And again, the fucking buzzer sounded at the right moment. Like, again, to me, that's $50,000. It's $100,000. That's KO of the year. You know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Sun Sao made the ultimate mistake, and he paid the ultimate price. The man's got to do something about his footwork, and he's got to do something about connecting all skill, striking and ground. He's got to learn to merge it into one and not fight other people's fights. Look, man, don't stand with Cody Garbrandt and try to box with him. What are you doing? This is what he does. He's better than you there. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's on him and his team. They need to figure something out because standing and boxing Cody Garbrandt was not the right thing to do.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I think I might have, because I misplaced where the year is. Yes, this is the end of the year show, but we might not end it right here because we actually do have some Ryzen fights on the 31st. So, I mean, I don't know. We might come on Wednesday with a special edition of the new of Voodoo in the Woods reviewing Ryzen. So I was a little bit hasty in calling this the year end show. But we will see you Wednesday, folks, to review the Ryzen card on December 31st, which is going to be phenomenal. The female talent on this fucking card is sick. Like 2 title fights in the main and the co-main event, and Ryzen, they fucking again. This is the child, the bastard child of Pride, right? So you're gonna see all the steroids. You're gonna see all the freak shows. Hopefully they fucking find Gabby Garcia a short notice fight. Her beat the shit out of a fucking old ass person. Nothing against old ass people. I happen to be one, but even still, let's go. Fucking Gabby Garcia. And I don't just fucking do Andre the Giant Battle Royal style. Fucking just like line them all up and just Gabby Garcia just pounds the shit out of them. I like that. I like that. So again, we'll be back on Wednesday to review that fucking Ryzen card, which is going to be phenomenal. Names you might not know, but come January 1st, you will fucking know. Damn right you will.
Ed, now, quick question. What time is this card airing? this Rising card? What time is it airing in America?
Not Bob Arum. Not that time.
Aaron.
It's. I mean, they're. I want to
It's gonna
say
be like early in
if
the
we
morning, like 2 in the morning or
no.
something.
So if we do Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time,
Hmm.
I think we can do it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah,
No.
wait,
The fight itself. When will the fight
no,
take place?
I
Since Japan is
because
ahead of us by nine
let's see,
hours.
Tapology. Let me. I'm putting it in the Tapology machine. Okay, so Thursday at 12. Wait, Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, so Thursday 12 Eastern Standard Time.
12 a.m. or p.m.
AM. Wait,
a.m.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, if we do Wednesday afternoon, we should be good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So
Most
again,
definitely.
fuck yeah, you're gonna get a bonus second episode of Voodoo in the Woods. We're reviewing Ryzen, so you guys want to check that out? Come this Wednesday, and again, guys, thank you for joining us on this ride. Again, this is something that Voodoo and I have been talking about for many, many moons. I mean, literally at the very least 2 years about working together. But for from your guys' love and support, we have been able to create this show for you that we have had so much fun doing. Again, this is my brother right here, and it's been incredible to review fights with him week in, week out. Even with technical glitches, we will bring you a fucking show. And across multiple platforms. We did it on Instagram. We did it on Facebook Live, and then now we're both on Facebook and YouTube. But again, thank you guys for enjoying the ride. We can't thank you
That's
enough,
right.
and we're bringing you much more cool shit. So again, if you haven't already done so, tell like-minded friends and even motherfuckers you don't like about Voodoo in the Woods. And again, you can like, share, and subscribe on YouTube and Twitter. And Voodoo, where can they find you on social media?
Hey, all major platforms. We've got Twitter, we've got Periscope, we've got Instagram, we've got Facebook, we've got YouTube. All Voodoo Maximus. Let's go. Don't forget the Facebook page.
Damn right. And
Let's
I'm
go.
According to Woods, and you can find me there. Like literally everywhere. When I'm not posting memes, I don't have a phone. Total disclosure, I don't have a phone, and you can't use fucking Instagram on your phone. Like I can see DMs and all that shit, but I can't post it. That's why I don't have any face swaps on there, any fucking fighter interviews, or any fucking dad memes and shit like that. But once the phone gets fixed, you best believe I'm coming at you hard in the paint with fucking memes. So again, but thank you guys for joining us here at Voodoo in the Woods. We can't
And
thank you enough.
what's the name of John McGuire's show again?
Oh, the
What's the
Fighter's
name of John
Voice
McGuire's
with
show
Don
again?
McGuire. The Fighter's Voice.
Okay.
Yeah,
No doubt.
check out Don McGuire on the Fighter's Voice. I mean, hell, you guys in the Philippines will be able to hear that come January 2021 because you will have the Fighter's Voice there, where he's interviewing a litany of an array of people in the MMA and combat sports field. I mean, Cutman, fighters, bare knuckle, MMA, boxing. He's all there, all the way live, like the Shaq song. So I'm just saying, check him out, check Voodoo out, check this guy out, and we will bring you some cool shit. I guarantee you. But this has been Voodoo in the Woods with our urine review, but really not. And we are out.